products. And later, 4 days into the new year, e-levy charges on mobile money transactions yet to reduce to 1% from 1.5%.
It's not yet, although it's been announced. We are hopeful it will take effect in the next few days to come, because I believe that the telcos would have to do something with respect to their database to be able to adjust to the reduction and everything.
Stay tuned as we bring you details of all that and more on the Citi Prime News.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Many thanks for your time. Now, the National Service Scheme has suspended its Ashanti Regional Boss for misconduct, and they have issued a statement, and it reads, kindly refer to our letter with reference to NSS number NSS 121. It says, I wish to inform you that the committee has completed its assignment and submitted the report to management, a copy of which is hereby enclosed for your attention. At its sitting on Wednesday, 21st December 2021, the board, after extensively deliberating on the committee's report, unanimously adopted the recommendations proffered by the committee on that basis. Okay, my colleague Hansen Ajiman joins me in studio for details of that statement. Hansen, what can you report?
Well, we all know about this particular story when the Ashanti Regional Boss went to a health facility where the daughter at the time had some engagements with a nurse on certain prescriptions that were supposed to be made at the time. That was a report that we had in the news. But generally, the issue bordered on the relation that existed between this particular nurse and the daughter of the boss of the NSS in the Ashanti region. Now, the NSS boss at the time made certain comments that were deemed insulting to the nursing community. And we realized that the nursing group in that particular hospital came up with, that's the Menshire Government Hospital, came up with a request for this NSS boss to actually be removed from office for that particular act. We saw the mother NSS body, that's the midwife and the nurses coming in to support the group at Menshire, also indicating that they were going to escalate the strike if the government does not act. In response, NSS issued a directive where it asked the man in the Ashanti Regional NSS Board to step aside for the meantime while investigations continue. So these investigations have been concluded, and what he has been given and the punitive measures basically are that he's been suspended for 2 calendar months without pay. After the suspension, he's expected to report to the head office to work under supervision. So this is an indication that he would then now be transferred as NSS boss in the Ashanti region, now to come and work at the head office. As in what particular role he'll be playing at the head office, we do not know. That is the second sanction he's been given. Now, the third sanction is that within 7 days upon receipt of this notice, you're also to issue an official apology to the National Service Scheme for bringing the name of the scheme into disrepute. This directive takes immediate effect, and this, as we know, was dated 25th December 2022. So on Christmas Day, this is when this directive was given to him. We are yet to see any form of public official of apology to the NSS, but as and when we get that, we'll bring that to our listeners. But the news here is that the National Service Scheme has taken a decision on Mr. Alex Opoku Mensah, who was the Ashanti Regional Director, and the decision is one that he's been suspended for 2 weeks. But upon return from this suspension in 2 weeks, he no longer works at the Ashanti Regional Office. He works at the head office under supervision. This could mean many things. That he will still work at the head office as Ashanti Regional Boss, or he can work at the head office as in another capacity. But the directive is that he will be operating from the head office and not from the Ashanti Regional NSS office. And he's also to apologize to the National Service Scheme for bringing the name of the office into disrepute.
All right, thank you very much. That was my colleague Hansen Ajman giving us details of a statement from the National Service Scheme that has suspended the Ashanti Regional Boss for misconduct. Charles has more stories.
And some news on the economy. The Director of Business Operations with Dalex Finance, Joe Jackson, wants Ghanaian traders to see the Bank of Ghana forex rates as a guide. A section of the public has raised concerns over the difference between rates given by the Bank of Ghana for the dollar compared to banks and forex bureaus. While the Bank of Ghana says the dollar is going for 8.5 cedis, traders complain some banks and forex bureaus are selling the dollar for 11 cedis. But speaking to City News, Joe Jackson explains the difference in rates is not new.
The Bank of Ghana, the commercial banks, the forex bureaus, they always have different rates because their rates are, each bank has to say that based on how much dollar I have and how much demand I have, this is how much I'm prepared to sell it or buy it for. Now, remember when the Bank of Ghana quotes a rate, it is quoting a rate for the previous day, not today.
Okay.
The Bank of Ghana is not sitting at any of our banks to tell you what the spot rate at the day is. And this spot rate may change during the day. So you cannot really look at what the Bank of Ghana, when the Bank of Ghana says the spot rate, it's for yesterday. Sometimes it may even be 2 days before, depending on how quickly the information runs through. When you get to an institution, especially you are buying at a bank or at a forex bureau, they are going to tell you what their rates are at the spot in the day. And remember that those rates, especially for the banks, may change throughout the day. It doesn't really change at the port that much. Now, what makes things worse now is that because of the volatile market, where things go up today, down, and even in the same day, they can go up and down different times. Traders are hedging because if I buy it at, say, 10, and in the next 2 hours it goes to 12, it drops to 8, I made a loss. So they keep the spread between the buying and the selling rate wider so that they are protecting themselves in case the rates change rapidly. The Bank of Ghana rate is a guide. And remember that the Bank of Ghana always is conservative. Remember that if your rate is too high, the Bank of Ghana can even call the Treasury Department of a bank and say, why are you quoting this rate? So sometimes the banks even fudge some of the data they give to the Bank of Ghana.
Joe Jackson has also warned that government's efforts at securing an IMF bailout may not materialize if government fails to complete the debt restructuring program.
Very little wiggle room. My estimate is that by the end of this month, it should have been tied up. It is hard to imagine going into February without this issue being resolved. Then we're getting close to the doomsday scenario that if you read the Minister of Finance, he in his statement, he talked about a doomsday scenario of total chaos from a default. Remember, they defaulted everywhere. Yeah. The reason why the markets are still a little bit haven't punished Ghana as badly as we could have been punished is that there is a sense that the IMF will come in and provide some stability. And then there's a sense that we will negotiate. But remember that we then need to negotiate with all these constituencies that we are asking to take a haircut. And it has to be voluntary. We're walking on a knife edge. We have to come to a conclusion very soon. I don't think there's a lot of time at all. I think that the markets are treating Ghana kindly as at the moment. because now we seem to have faced up to our problems and say, I can't pay. Let's sit down. Let's have we are negotiating with the foreign debtors. We're negotiating with the local debtors. But we can't. This is not a game that can play out endlessly.
Joe Jackson is the Director of Business Operations at Dalex Finance.
And away from that, the Office of the Special Prosecutor insists its aim at making corruption costly cannot be thwarted by any obstacle, not even financial constraints. This was contained in the anti-graft body's mandated half-year report on its activities. The special prosecutor recently had cause to review that budgetary allocations available to the office have not been released to the office. But in the report, the office indicated that the over 120 cases investigated and prosecuted is a testament of the resolve. My colleague Hansen Ajiman is in studio with me to give us details of this report. Hansen, now how does this office assess itself for the period under review?
So for the Office of the Special Prosecutor, it has carried out its work commendably, regardless of the financial and material constraints and the non-issuance of its establishment budgets. So for the Office of the Special Prosecutor, taking everything into consideration, its mandate as given to it by the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act, the level of support that he is not getting, the financial constraint, material constraint, the office thinks that the function of investigating corruption, in preventing corruption and retrieving assets gained as a result of corruption, he's doing so commendably. Now, the Office of the Special Prosecutor goes ahead to admit that even though it cannot end corruption suddenly, it is doing everything in its power to make corruption a high-risk venture for persons who want to engage in it. So, in the preface of the this particular half-yearly report, the Special Prosecutor indicated that as we apply well-structured systems, technology and intelligence-led operations, we are rendering corruption a highly risky enterprise for the criminally minded. As we firm up the drive against corruption and our message is registered strongly in the minds of people, that sooner or later they will be arrested, prosecuted, and their assets seized and confiscated to the state, the incidence of corruption will surely decline. This will restore confidence, promote the rule of law, and assure fairness and justice. So this is how the Special Prosecutor assesses itself as far as its work between August and December 2022 is concerned.
Now, the Office of the Special, in the report, it says that over 120 cases are being investigated. What are some of these major cases?
Well, so when it comes to cases that are being investigated, about two of them have been concluded, and Charles Bissue, the case involving Charles Bissue, a presidential staffer, former secretary for the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. We all remember the video by investigative journalist Anas Armiyo Anas, where he was captured in the video allegedly taking some money to facilitate the procurement of a mining license for a certain company. So the Special Prosecutor indicates that investigations are concluded with that, but we don't know what that means. So the Special Prosecutor says in the coming days, he or an authorized officer from his office will issue directives on that. There's also the case on the Northern Development Authority, and the Special Prosecutor indicates that investigations have concluded in that particular case, and it deals with the award of a contract to a particular company where there have been issues or concerns about the procurement process. And the Special Prosecutor has indicated that investigations have concluded. Now, ongoing investigations, new on the list as compared to what we know since the first This is the second half-yearly report by the special prosecutor. An addition we know here is that of Charles Edubuahin, former Minister of State for Finance at the presidency, in the captured in Anas Armiana's investigative piece, The Galamsey Economy. The Special Prosecutor Office of the Special Prosecutor indicates to us that investigations are ongoing. You know of the issue in Parliament with respect to MPs calling for Finance Minister Ken Oforiatta to be sacked or for he to resign, and issues about an unknown wealthy man attempting to bribe them to rescind their decision or their stance. The special prosecutor has taken interest in this particular matter. The special prosecutor recently noted that issues of illegal mining, any form of corruption-related offenses in the space of illegal mining, he's interested in it. He has not mentioned any person, but he says this investigation targets officials of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and the Forestry Commission. The famous Airbus scandal is also captured here. But aside these investigations, we know that prosecutions are ongoing. And in two of these cases, the Manasseh Azura Wuni's expose in the at the Procurement Authority, so former Public Procurement Authority boss Ejenim Boateng J, and another. The trial is ongoing. Alexander Kwabena Safo Kantanka, he also is being tried for the present MCE nominee for jobbing. We remember during that particular period when he was accused of bribing electorates, because at the time he was captured on a tape allegedly demanding monies he had paid for them to influence their vote. The special prosecutor indicates that prosecution is ongoing with this matter as well.
Now, finally, what strategies is the Office of the Special Prosecutor applying to achieve these goals?
So the Office of the Special Prosecutor is looking at collaboration. So it says it has intensified collaboration with state groups like the Economic and Organized Crime Office, the Narcotic Control Commission, Financial Intelligence Center, towards having or developing and launching an asset recovery and management policy framework. Now, this asset recovery and management policy framework is to aid these groups to be able to retrieve assets if, after prosecution, it is found that a particular person or group engaged in corruption and corruption-related offenses. Now, the office is also collaborating with civil society organizations towards having Ghana's own anti-corruption barometer to give out which groups and institutions are corrupt or exposed to corruption more. And finally, the special prosecutor is looking at leveraging upon technology to fight corruption. And the special prosecutor is saying that it is this clear and ever-present danger that dictates full funding for the Office for Investment in Technology, Equipment and Personnel to avoid the situation of law enforcement always being a step or several steps behind male factors. So the special prosecutor is simply indicating that there's a need for support for the office to improve its technology so that it can be at par or at best ahead of persons who want to engage in corruption and corruption-related offenses.
Very well, thank you. That was my colleague Hansen Ajman giving us details of the Special Prosecutor's report in the mandated half-yearly report. Charles has more stories.
Now, the University of Ghana is taking steps to complete the disputed Africa Integras project despite the ongoing legal tussle to help bridge the infrastructure gap in the school. The project, which was meant to see to the construction of 4 lecture halls and 1 accommodation facility, was halted due to contractual issues. The university has been in court with the construction firm leaving the project, which began in 2015, unattended to. But in an interview with Citi News, Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Gordon Awandari, indicated that government is being engaged on the sources of funds for the completion of the project.
the university itself is trying to complete one of the hostels that we were working on as part of the what we call the Africa Intergrass project. So that is far advanced, and it should be available next academic year.
Africa Integras, if I'm not stretching, we know the problems that came up with this Africa Integras project, and we know recently there's been a ruling in favor of the university. If you say one of the buildings is near completion, what does that say for the status of that project?
Well, we are getting collaboration from the government to try to complete those projects. So we are going through the process of settling the legal issues, and then after that we'll focus on how to continue the buildings. So yes, we're hoping that those buildings would eventually be completed and add to the infrastructure in the university.
Professor Gordon Awandare is Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana.
This is still the Citi Prime News reporting live from our studios at Adabraka in Accra. My name is Wilma Obobisa-Coleman here with Charles Owusukumi. Still ahead in the bulletin, passengers of commercial vehicles call for a further reduction in transport fares following a marginal decrease in the prices of petroleum products. We'll bring you details of this and others shortly. Do stay with us.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Updates you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
Fine, anyone can become the house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, anyone. Whether market woman, student, professional, even fisherman or cobbler. YugoFlip, a real estate gaming platform that allows you to play and stand the chance of winning a house, cash, or other prizes, such as savings towards the house. Simple and easy to play. Visit www.yugoflip.com. Buy a ticket to enter the game. Wait for the end of the game to enjoy the win. Anyone can win.
Contact us on 0555222490.
YugoFlip.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Play responsibly, not for persons below 18 years, and gaming can be addictive.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Updates you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
Many thanks for staying with us. We go back to the story where the National Service Scheme has suspended the Ashanti Regional Boss over the misconduct. We'll take reactions from the nurses and midwiferys and to hear what they have to say. We have over the line Efriye Anto, who is the chairman of the Ashanti Regional Chapter of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. Good afternoon, sir. First and foremost, want to find out if you have seen the statement and what you make of it. Hello, sir. We seem to have lost the line, but we will continue with the bulletin and then try to make contact with him. Charles, what stories do you have?
Now, business owners have reiterated calls for the government to further engage stakeholders over the increment of the value-added tax rate from 12.5% to 15%. According to them, this will ensure that the move yields the desired results when full implementation takes effect in the coming days. There is more in the following report by Citi News' Netele Nete Ajaho.
Despite government's announcements to increase the value-added tax rate from 12.5 to 15%, one group that has criticized the move is the Ghana Union of Traders Associations, GUTA. President of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, is urging government to, among other things, implement measures to enhance compliance, or the move will not yield the targeted results. He's been speaking to Citi News.
It's important that government gets revenue for the development of the city. No doubt about that. But one thing that we have also observed is that taxes, when they are not made simplified and affordable, compliance level is virtually nil. And it does not support the cause of government itself. And it does not also help the business community. It creates unnecessary discomfort for businesses, add another layer of cost of doing business, and thereby also punishing the consuming public. And that's why we're saying that the tax system, the VAT system, as it is structured now, does not ensure uniformity. It does not ensure fairness. And that we have about 3 systems of the same VAT system running concurrently at the same vicinity of market. There is no compulsion on the part of the consuming public to demand VAT invoices. It means that everybody has the discretion to choose where he should buy his or her goods.
For the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, the addition of the 2.5% on the value-added tax rate will stifle the growth of the manufacturing sector. The Greater Accra chairman of AGI, Chonam Akpelo, explains that government must delay the implementation of the increment in the VAT rate.
We are fully aware of the challenges government is going through, and we know that government will do everything in order to raise the needed revenue to embark on the many development initiatives. But for us in industry, increasing VAT to 50% at this time, we feel that it's not, the timing is wrong, and we think that it's too much burden on industry. You realize that inflation rate is all-time high. So on daily basis, prices of goods and services are going up. And the producer have to deal with a situation of having to buy raw materials on increasing prices basis. So to now add increase in VAT, what it means is that the producer again is faced with the issue of having to pass that VAT to the consumer and having to also deal with the already imported finished products that we have to deal with. So in effect, our challenges are just gone up as a result.
The 2.5% hike was announced by the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta when he presented the 2023 budget to Parliament in November last year. According to him, the move is expected to yield about 2.70 billion Ghana cedis in revenue to fund road infrastructure development. But both the AGI and GUTA believe that government needs to further engage the business community to ensure they get the desired results. For some traders who spoke to Citi News, though the implementation has not begun, the move will impose hardships on their businesses and on the consuming public. Government says it was increasing VAT from 12.5 to 15%. Has it taken place, and are you implementing these measures at this time?
Unless they give us new VAT receipt book before we can start issuing this thing to them, because right now what we are having is we are still having the old books. So if I issue it to you, you can't give me that money because I have to give you a receipt what corresponds to the amount that I'm taking from you. So unless they bring it, but they cannot put the horse before the cart. So right now, we are waiting for them to bring us the new VAT receipt book, then we can also start issuing it.
As of now, we have not started it yet because there are no sales right now as we speak. I think the government should meet stakeholders and then, discuss the whole thing in a program form and then find the best solution possible. But I don't think that increasing from 12 to, 15% is going to be the 100% solution.
It's no doubt that government's decision to increase the value-added tax rates from 12.5 to 15% as part of efforts to raise revenue is not the best in the eyes of the business community. They are calling on governments to engage in more stakeholder engagement to ensure that this move yields the best results. For Citi News, I am Netelinete Ajahu.
Well, we'll go back to the story of the NSS and speak to the nurses. And we have over the line Ashanti Regional Vice Chairman of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, Philemon Edu Brimpong, to give us more. Hello, good afternoon, sir. First and foremost, want to know if you have seen the statement and what you make of it.
Good afternoon to you and your listeners. The letter has also come to our attention, and we have seen what the NSS have put in place. They are suspending him 2 months without salary, and he is supposed to report to the National Office to work under supervision. That is what we have seen. I don't know if you have seen something different, or we have all talking about the same letter?
It's the same letter, please.
Oh, okay. Then let me say, as a union, we are not happy with the outcome, but however, we accept the decision which has been taken by NSS, and we believe that he's not going to work directly with us, and with us, I'm talking about nurses and midwives. So we are not happy, but we accept the decision from NSS office.
Now, were you as an association invited during the investigations?
Yes, we were there, and a lady who was involved also was interviewed by the team who were doing that investigation. So we were involved.
Now, how are they faring? The victim and the doctor, that's the doctor, the daughter of the Ashanti NSS director. How are they faring?
I can talk about the nurse. When the incident happened, we offered her psychological support. So there was a psychologist who was attending to her. She has started work which will help her to integrate well and also to work effectively. So she is doing well by God's grace. And the family is also doing well because it affected her family as well, but they are all doing well.
Finally, and what's the relationship like between doctors and nurses following the incident?
Let me say that before the incident and after the incident, relationship between doctors and nurses have always been cordial and professional. So this was just one thing that happened, and the relationship will still continue to be professional. And we all belong to the health team, and we all play our roles as health professionals. And nurses will continue to be advocates for the patient.
Thank you very much for that. That was the Ashanti Regional Vice Chairman of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, Philemon Edufrimpong, reacting to the suspension of the NSS Ashanti Regional Boss. Now, the Mobile Money Agents Association of Ghana and the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications have stated that the reduction of the electronic transfer levy from 1.5 to 1% is yet to take effect. The revised levy is expected to be implemented from the start of this year, as stated by Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta in the 2023 budget. There's more in the following report filed by Citi News' Philip Latte.
I've just done a transaction and I'm not clear with it, so I have to go and recheck and see that if truly they have reduced it. But a lot of people don't check, so they should run an advert on your station for us to have noticed that they have reduced it. I think that will be... Yeah, the transaction I did, I sent 1,000 Ghana cedi to somebody. So they're supposed to deduct... first, they deduct 5 cedis. But now it's 7 cedi 50 pesos. And with the other charges too, when I calculated it, everything ended up to 13 cedis 50 pesos, which is too much. But I'll cross-check whether if truly they have reduced it. I don't believe in Ghana now. Today they will reduce it, tomorrow they will increase it. So I don't believe it at all.
With me here is Joshua Edmondson. He's a Deputy National Public Relations Officer of the Mobile Money Agents Association of Ghana. I'll engage him on the reduction of the e-levy from 1.5% to 1%.
It's not yet, although it's been announced. We are hopeful it will take effect in the next few days to come, because I believe that the telcos would have to do something with respect to their database to be able to adjust to the reduction and everything. So it's a whole lot of work that needs to be done. But the good news is that at least it's been announced. So we are expecting that in the next foreseeable days, they should take effect. A very good news. Looking at where it's coming from 1.75%, 1.5%, and now 1%, with the cap being restored, it's a very good news to us. And let me say that although that's not the ultimate we are looking at, but we commend government for at least taking this step, because it's something that we've been crying for, okay? And we are encouraging them that, look, because of what has happened, we are anticipating that this will affect the business in terms of a positive slide. Because what it means is that all those who forfeited the usage of the service by mere fact of the 1.5% will now have some hope to come back to use the service. And by so doing, we are anticipating that sales will go up. By sales going up, then we are also believing that government would then understand our call to further reduce the levy to the 0.5% we are talking about. Because even in economics, you realize that the lower the price, the higher the quantity demanded, all things being equal, unless the product is an ostentatious product. But if not, and it's an elastic product like the service we are using, whereby people could use other avenues to transact business without necessarily using the service, then it tells you that we believe that government would listen when the figures start coming up. After it was announced, we had the opportunity to meet with government. We made them know that, look, we want to support, to educate the people. And as of now I'm talking to you about, people could even come to you and say, oh, Isika, how much are you going to charge me for your levy? Then we educate them and tell them that, no. We undertook a nationwide education campaign. That's the Mobile Money Agent Association of Ghana, educating people. Because the reason is that anything that affects the levy has a direct effect on our business. So we took it upon ourselves with our limited resources to educate the public about the levy and the things that the levy does not affect and the things it does. So we believe that it should not end here. Government should still support us, or we should still continue to educate the people about the levy.
The Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications has played a significant role in terms of the demand for a revision of the electronic transfer levy. The Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber, Engineer Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, has been sharing his thoughts on the reduction.
You know, today is the first working day since we came back from the holidays. So our checks show that the President assented to the bill, the Act as passed by Parliament, Act 1089, on the 29th. And what normally happens is that the EMI's December is a network freeze period. And so we're coming out of that network freeze, and since now it's now law, speaking to GRA, it's something that is supposed to take immediate effect. So taking immediate effect means that now you can get your systems configured and all of that. So I'm sure in the coming days, the EMIs would configure their systems and the 1%, would start. We started off with the policy being at 1.75. There was a lot of talk. It came down to 1.5. And we still, insisted until, in our engagement with government, we thought that, the 1.5 was too much. And in the various engagement that went on before this 1%, we were still of the opinion that even, it should have been between 0.5% and 0.1%. The thing about this e-levy is that you need to do it in such a way that people do not really think about it when they have to pay it, when they have to use the electronic means for transactions.
Though the revision is yet to take effect, stakeholders in the industry are requesting and asking government to intensify education on this policy. Reporting for Citi News, my name is Philip Latte.
Passengers of commercial vehicles are calling for a further reduction in transport fares. This comes after a marginal decrease in the prices of petroleum products at the various fuel stations. Citi News' Anne Shaliziwu has been interacting with passengers, commercial drivers and the Ghana Private Road Transport Union in this report.
In the last pricing window of last year, which is December 2022, fuel prices reduced drastically as petrol was selling for 13 cedis and diesel was selling around 15 cedis at various fuel stations. This caused commuters to ask for a reduction in transport fares, and after a meeting with the GPRTU, the Transport Ministry and other various stakeholders, it was agreed that transport fares be reduced by 15.3%. In the first pricing window of 2023, fuel prices have also seen a marginal decrease by 8% at various fuel stations, and commuters are asking for a reduction as well. Let's speak to some commuters who are calling for this reduction.
It's only fair when we see reduction in fuel prices. It's only fair that we see a reflection of it in transport fare, because we could all remember last year there was a transport fare increments I think for like more than 3 times so far. So then we've seen how in a month they've increased fares 2 times. So then now that the fuel price has been reduced, it's only fair now we want to see the reduction in transport fare, at least some minimum percentage. Yeah. That's it.
The drivers are saying that it's not only the fuel that they use to calculate this increase and decrease in transport fare. They have other components like spare parts, brake fuel, oil, engines, and other things. What do you also make of that?
I think that is a lame excuse because every time they increase the fare, the fuel price is is the primary concern to them. They don't talk about the spare part. The spare part, apart from that, the spare part is not everyday thing. It's periodic. I mean, in a month or 3 months. If you're even lucky, a year you won't do any. All you have to do is maintenance. So I think we are talking about fuel price here. I mean, is the one that we deal with every day. So when it comes down, it's only fair that people, I mean, especially the drivers, bring it down.
Even with the former, the other 15% that the government has given us, they made it 10%. Because initially, Kaswa fare was 10 cedis. From here to Kaswa was 10 cedi. But after the 15%, they are charging, instead of 8 cedis, 50 pesos, they are charging 9 cedis. But still, nothing changed. It's still the same 9 cedis that they are. I'm pleading with the government that at least they should talk to the drivers to do something about it for us.
Yeah. We heard that they are reduced the price of the fuel, and also by like at the station here, the refer that they have taken that was previously, they are still taking the same lorry fare. So this one like I'm pleading on behalf of everybody that the government should reduce. The government too should tell the drivers so that they can also reduce the road fare for us, because it is still expensive for us.
I think it's quite good, because if they have reduced the transport fare, they should reduce the fares. So I think it's a good idea that passengers are saying they should reduce it. And I also support that they should reduce it. So it's good. I think it was 5.5, but now they said 4.5. But if they have reduced it to 1.5 there, I think they should reduce it again.
Let's speak to the Industrial Relations Officer of GPRT, Abbas Imoro, and what he makes of the call for a reduction in transport fares.
If you observed, it wasn't one time which attracted the reduction. It was about the third time of fuel reduction which attracted the reduction. Likewise, if we are about to increase lorry fares, at times 3 times increment or 4 times increment before we come up with an increment. And before the decrease, you remember we came up with a communique that even passengers are owing us a lot. There was a very big gap between what we are supposed to take and what we are taking now. Lo and behold, as religious as we are, drivers were able to reduce something out of what we observed. Yesterday we wake up, we saw another slight reduction, yes. But it's not automatic that every reduction of fuel will attract reduction of lorry fares. When it comes down significantly, we again come up. But not forgetting, spare parts has never been reduced, which has been rice that we buy. Rice, which was being sold at 2 cedis for our kids, went up to 5 cedis. It has never been reduced. Almost all the food stuff, everything which was increased, has never been reduced, but we have done it. So the possibility of bringing the fuel prices down again to some extent, we shall reduce the lorry fare again, it's also there. It's also there.
So what would you have to tell commuters now that
they should take it easy. When they reduce it further to a reasonable price, we shall see to it to make sure we also touch on it.
That report was put together by Citi News' Anne Sheliziu.
This is still the Citi Prime News live from our studios at Adabraka in Accra. Still to come, clients of the Birth and Death Registry left stranded following 3-week power outage. We'll bring you details of this and more shortly. Do stay with us.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
Dakar, Senegal, the city full of art like an open gallery, the city that harbors the pristine beaches of the West. Dakar, Senegal, the city that you can now get to faster. Fly to Dakar, Senegal from Accra 2 times a week with Kenya Airways. Visit www.kenya-airways.com or contact the Kenya Airways sales office to book a seamless flight from Accra to Dakar and over 40 other destinations. Kenya Airways, connecting Africa to the world and the world to Africa.
Bronya, hey, high sense Bronya, don't call me. High sense Mobi Biara Fishiapo. Every 15th December, I come 8th January. Hey, high sense Bronya, don't call me. I want to send you my wire thing. Naso Udonti. High sense, yeah, 10 Yamani now to say, who? Yeah, Shama on the Bronya no Sibia. And to Uber showroom. When a dear, a yo, Pia pocket level. Showroom Yamanina. Hey, Bronya, don't call me. TV, fridge, freezers, air conditioner, smartphones, sound system, and it be beer high sense showroom beer. And yeah, high sense Bronya, don't call me. And maybe beer and Tetel, and Kwane here. So high sense D.O.B. Bronya, no feeling. Every 15th December, I come him 8th January. And yeah, high sense Bronya, don't call me. High sense, everyday prices for everyday people.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. Some individuals who visited the National Office of the Birth and Death Registry for their certificates were turned away following power outage issues. According to sources, the facility has been without power for over 3 weeks. The situation has in turn hampered the issuance of certificates to clients. In the following report, some of the frustrated clients called on the authority to rectify the challenge as soon as possible.
This is the national office, which is located in the Greater Accra region. Well, unfortunately, we understand that their activities have been somehow hampered, and that is because of some power outages that have hit the facility. Well, we know that the Birth and Death Registry is responsible to issue certificates to individuals that are born here in Ghana, and also for the people who also pass on. That is where they get their certificates. But as I have indicated already, we understand that there has been some sort of challenge following power outages, which has also impacted negatively with regard to the services that they provide. This is the only place that has been affected, but we understand that the district offices are operating fully as they expected to operate. So despite the challenge, we understand that work is ongoing as is expected. The only challenge is that the issuance of the certificates have been a major trouble or challenge for the officers here. But as you can see just behind me, the officers are at post. I've visited the customer service area and also other segments of the company, all the facility, and I see everyone at post. We understand that work is ongoing as is expected. So because this is the national office, not a lot of people make their way here. We understand that a lot of their clients visit the district offices and the regional offices, which also offer the same work as is done here. But then I've been interacting with some of these persons or clients who have come here who have been left unattended to.
Yeah, he needed a traveling passport. So when I went there with him, we were asked to come and change the birth set. He has the old one, and they said they are no longer using that one, so we should come and change it. For the past 3 weeks, and I was asked to follow up this week. So when I came, I saw the lady. She said she wasn't the very person who received it, so I should go and then come later. I asked when I should follow up, and she didn't give me any specific date to come. So I'm going back, and then maybe Friday I'll come and check again to see. But my son will be leaving tomorrow.
That would mean that it's going to be an inconvenience for your son.
Actually, but what can I do? Well, if I go back to the passport office, is there that I will know what to do the next?
Other than that, as and now, I can also ask him to wait while they are, opening tomorrow. So he has to leave for school. And then I'll see later how I'll try to, if I can postpone it to the next holidays.
I came to collect my birth set. I came to return birth set for some time ago. So I came back for it.
And what is the challenge? Have you been able to get it?
Yeah, I got it, but there's a mistake. So I came here to rectify the mistake. And they say I should come next week because they are having a lot of problem.
Okay. So you were expecting to get it today, I'm sure.
No, I got it, but I came to rectify the mistake. And because of this problem, they say I should come next week.
But would you say it's a worry to you? Is it?
Yeah, it's a worry because sometimes it takes time, That's what I can say. It's a worry for themselves and for the clients.
Are you sure of getting it? Because were they able to promise you or assure you?
They say I should come next for rectification. But I don't know if they can do it for me or not.
So I've been interacting with the public relations officer for the Births and Deaths Registry, and he has been explaining to us what the challenges and what the facility have put in place to alleviate or ameliorate the challenge.
As you remember, I spoke to my registrar earlier, and she mentioned that you have a power issue, and first it was a precautionary measure we're taking in place, by cutting the power to prevent anything like untoward happening, and but now I think that's protracted quite a little bit, and they are working. I mean, they are hands-on, trying to make sure that the thing is solved by the end of the week. Yeah.
Now, in the interim, can people also go on other portals to do their services? They need other arrangements?
Yes. I think this is a great opportunity for us to let the public know that we have our services migrated online, and you should not, you don't need to come to any Births and Deaths Registry office or anything to now start a registration process, whether it's a fresh birth or it's a late birth registration or death registration, whatever it is.
So the management of the Births and Deaths Registry have indicated that they are working assiduously to resolve this current challenge. But in the meanwhile, if you still want their services, you can access it online and also at their various district offices. Reporting for Citi News, my name is Kweku Eduyama Ansa.
Now, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, has admonished motorists to desist from embellishing their car number plates. The caution by the authority comes on the back of thousands of motorists trooping to their office to get their cars registered. In an interview with Citi News, the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the DVLA, Atta Kuma Mensah, warned that motorists who embellish their number plates will be dealt by the law.
Any number plate that authority issues, is prescribed by law. So if you go your own way to have embellished plates fixed on your vehicle, it's in violation of the law. Unfortunately, DVLA, in connection with the MTTD, those days Citi was involved with compliance and enforcement. So when those people are, apprehended, they are dealt with according to the law. So I would advise that if you want to have your vehicle duly registered, just go through the process and then make sure the right thing is done to avoid this embarrassment.
Atta Kuma Mensah is the Greater Accra Regional Manager of the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority.
Well, that's all time would allow us for on the Citi Prime News. But before we go, we'll give you a recap of some of the stories that we brought your way. The special prosecutor insists financial constraints cannot thwart efforts at making corruption costly. We also had a story where the National Service Scheme has suspended its Ashanti Regional Director over misconduct. He has been suspended for 2 months without pay, and the scheme is demanding an official apology for disgracing the scheme. Also, we had passengers of commercial vehicles calling for a further reduction in transport fares following a marginal decrease in the prices of petroleum products. And 4 days into the new year, e-levy charges on mobile money transactions yet to reduce to 1% from the 1.5% earlier. The news was live across the globe on citinewsroom.com. We're also live on some of our affiliate stations in the Western region. We're on Premier 100.5 FM in Takoradi and Beach 105.5 FM also in Takoradi. In the Bono region, we're on Greener FM 95.9 in Sunyani. In the Ashanti region, you're listening to us on Orange FM 107.9 in Kumasi. In the Volta region, we're on Global 105.1 FM in Ho, and we're on Adanu 107.7 FM in Adakluwaya. In the northern region, we're on Diamond 93.7 in Tamale. And Upper West, we're on Westlink 88.1 FM in Laura. In the Upper East, we're on Source 100.1 FM in Boko. And in the Northeast, we're on SCAP 101.3 FM in Nangpanduru. You can log on to our website, citynewsroom.com, for more stories. My name is Wilma Ubobisa Coleman, and this afternoon I was here with
Charles Owusukume.
Up next is the afternoon's edition of the City Business News with Nashika Caesar. Many thanks for choosing us. Enjoy the rest of our programs.
City News. We speak first. Reach our hotline